together, and we all have it. And I do think that that's some proof that we're herd animals, and that if it weren't for all this clatter of energies that we got going in the 20th century, we could hear each other, because I really do think that the tendrils of telepathy are the human hair, and that women had intuition long before men started to let their hair grow out and gain it. They used to become bald-headed, you know, skinheads. That was the warrior mentality, and it lacked that intuitive nature, you know. But when you grow your hair, you start to think in different ways and feel energies coming from different places and find yourself making decisions for different reasons. I did, as I educated myself and began to see shallowness here, a lack of connection here, a true abortionate conglomerate of information that causes them to do this and that and this and that. Why do they do it? I began to detect in the writings of others how much we all reveal ourselves by what we say and what we do. So I became very careful of that, and I could pass myself off as a cultured gentleman. And when I put on those horn rims and looked like Buddy Holly, I looked like a graduate of some prominent university somewhere, probably with a law degree or an architecture degree or something in my hip pocket, none of which was true. I'm a self-made thing. I have no college. I have no high school. I have no education. I learned to read because I was thrown in with a lot of Christian families who read the Bible around the table and said grace and shared the saying of the grace, and you had to learn how to be a public performer. And you also learned something about the history of things, the traditions of things, how organizations work, what honor, what shibboleths they honored, these common people whom I looked at as models for how to become, while I undertook the self-making of the self. So that by the time I was 15 and ran away from home with my mother's permission, I was able to pass myself off as, it's really 16, and you can get in a pool hall when you're 16, whereas at 15 you're still one of the kids. I was almost, anyway, bluffing, lying, and being honest, because I learned not to lie, cheat, or steal. If those were negatives, if people put you down for that, they put you in bad places. Don't do it. And so I was conditioned not to lie, cheat, or steal, no matter how bad things got, nor beg. Now I'm really terrible at begging. And I hate money. I don't believe in it at all, because it almost always involved begging at some stage in it. And I didn't want that. If it was just begging for a raise from the boss, or whatever it is, I couldn't handle it, and I don't want to handle it. So I deny money. Money is a ruse. You know, it's a foolish trap. You can get by without it. And as a consequence, I learned how to get by without it. I get by with the help of my friends. I smoke an awful lot of marijuana, but I don't pay for any of it. I don't know what it is that I don't know what it is that has given me the complete drive from the time I was a teenager to obtain this thing called liberty. You know, what do you mean by liberty? To me, I set my sights on my property rights. You can talk about liberty and freedom, they're pretty abstract. But what do I own? And what must you come to me for if you want to use it? And how can I separate my property rights so I can sell you the novel, but I keep the play, and I keep the TV series, and I keep the poster, and I keep the artwork, and I keep the concept, and I keep the name, but you know, I don't mind developing material that I can control, and I've learned how to keep my eyes on my property rights, because that's basically, and my time is my property, and I give it freely when I'm interested in something, but you can hardly afford me if you really want me to do your thinking. And a lot of producers have learned that, and so they don't bother to call me in the middle of the night. But a lot of them do, and a lot of people with screenplays on their hands. And like, I got a friend who is going to give a copy of a script I wrote to Tom Sizemore. Heidi Fleiss' boyfriend, the one that's in rehab right now.
Oh yeah, he's
The
better.
violent guy who had a TV series where he played a hard and crooked cop. And I fell in love with him. I looked at that and I said, this guy could play the Humphrey Bogart if he could find a Lauren Bacall in this story that I wrote, which is like The Big Sleep or To Have and Have Not. It's a Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, or Robert Mitchum and somebody. And you put them together, and he's sort of